So should he be put out of his misery in terms of the future? He's done what was asked of him.
Yeah, he's doing what. And again, if he can finish the season strongly, he's gotten a really good habit of winning football matches, which is good.
10 out of 14.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, fantastic. And again, we can sit here and analyse the game and look at the issues they've got, which I'm sure him and his staff are doing. But if you're on that dressing room, you've won the game, you'll be pleased, obviously, because that's what he's there to do. Again, the remit was to get in that Champions League. He's done it. Eases the pressure on everyone at the club. And yeah, he's gone along nicely.
Is it a different question to ask you whether you'd like that to happen?
Yeah, no, I still think, and I'm sure United are looking at other options out there. But while they're looking at the options, is he's winning football matches, then it gives him a hell of a chance of getting the job.
Are the options falling away? Is he emerging as not the only candidate, but the outstanding candidate now?
Yeah, I mean, there's no one being linked either, is there? There's no one sort of being strongly linked with the job. I think Michael's put himself in pole position because of obviously what he's done. He's re-established a few things, a bit of, I think, the way the club are playing in terms of the system of play. I think even today it was a bit Manchester United like, going 2-0 up, then 2-2, then winning it in a difficult way. So the things that I think have emerged on and off the pitch, which I think will give the club sort of comfort that they're in safe hands. And Manchester United need some stability. They haven't had a lot of stability over the last few years, and he will bring that from a point of view of everybody trusts him. The fans like him, the players obviously like him, the club and the staff will trust him. It's just that, we just talked about it on the podcast. Next year he's going to have 55, 60 games with Champions League, with the FA Cup. They're not going to go out in the first round surely, and the Carabao Cup. And then it's all a sort of different level of management, different level of scrutiny. It becomes a lot more challenging. And it's then, has he got the experience, obviously? Has he got the body of work behind him to rely upon? That's the only question I think that I've talked about for a number of months. But, some people say, well, why don't you give him a year contract and let him have a further year just to sort of what we stabilise the club? And I don't think I can argue with that. But if a world-class manager became available that has won titles, that has been in the Champions League, that's done it and been there before, Manchester United should probably pursue that route, because the last 5 managers, including Michael, Ole, Ralph Rangnick, Ruben Amorim and Eric Ten Hag, have not got that super club experience, and Michael would be another that's not quite got that.
These are fans, incidentally, who are voting on the Finalysis poll. The Manchester United fans, 77% think now he should be the manager next season, whereas only 28% of Liverpool fans think that Arne Slot should be the manager of Liverpool. So they're going to take some convincing. But what doubts should remain, Daniel, do you think, for Michael Carrick, or has he answered them all?
Just the experience, I think. I think that's the one thing. We can't, disregard how well he's done. The hardest thing is to win football matches at big clubs consistently. That's what he's done. He's won the most points. So the evidence is there. If we didn't have evidence, we were arguing a poor case, aren't we? But the case he's made for himself can't be beaten right now. The only question marks you could really say is, OK, controlling games. Last week, substitution, half-time, he's changed your formation, this, that. Would you have the answers against Real Madrid? Would you have the answers against Bayern Munich, PSG, teams like that?
So tactically, you think there is
I'm not saying,
I
didn't say tactics. I'm more so saying that decisions at vital times, vital moments. Last week it went right? But in another game, they could score 2 or 3, and then it's like, hey, why did you go 3 at the back? We should have... So it's more the decision-making at right times. That's what I think the best managers are great at. They make the right decision at the right time. They'd be brave, which he's shown at times, but we've not seen it in a long, duration of time. We're seeing this in a microcosm. So let's have a look next year, if he does get the job, and see what ideas he can bring to the table. I've been enjoying seeing them play, and it's a great opportunity for him.
And it'd be interesting this summer, United's recruitment. We're talking about the problems at the back and obviously midfield. If they get a few players in, United will be stronger, and obviously that'll give them a better opportunity to win more football matches. The issue is, and again, that's not his problem, the last few months has been, there's been no jeopardy in Man United's play. He had the remit to qualify for the Champions League, but we're looking at the Premier League this year, and it's not been that great. And so it's been the perfect storm for him to come in and get some winning matches. He had the dream start playing, beating Man City and Arsenal and stuff, so he got momentum. But yeah, he's doing what he's been asked to do. But it's just that lack of experience again. Come next year if he gets it, and the people who are praising him now, come October, November, if they have a bad start or a difficult spell, they'll be the same people saying get him out. So I suppose that's a bridge you'll cross when you get to it, but he can't do any more, I suppose.
From what you've seen, Jamie, of the way that he's shaped this team over these 14 games, can he turn them into title contenders?
No, I don't see it thinking that Michael Carrick's the man to get Manchester United back to winning the Champions League or the Premier League. But I do feel he should get the job, not because he's done so well and he deserves it. Manchester United should do what's best for them as a club. But you think where United have been these last sort of 2 or 3 years, they haven't just been a club underachieving, they've been a club getting laughed at, really. You know, finishing 15th last season, you know, you can't quite comprehend that. Now, what he's done is just calmed everything down, where they're winning games they should win. Manchester United should always be in the Champions League position when you consider how big the club is and the revenue they spend each summer. That's what he's done. He's just done what they should do. Probably a little bit more, of course, you know, winning all these big games. And I think Manchester United could do another year of that. I don't think Manchester United in the summer are ready to go and think they're going to challenge for the Champions League or challenge for the Premier League. They almost need another year of this. And I think the risk of changing somebody who is not going to cause trouble in the press conference, he's not going to fall out with players, he's probably going to be steady. Now, is steady enough for Man United? I just think for another 12 months, it is. You kick the can down the road. Real Madrid are looking for a manager. Chelsea are looking for a manager. Maybe Man City might be looking for a manager as well. And then you assess the managerial options. Because right now, what you're saying in terms of a big Champions League manager, yes, if Luis Enrique comes available tomorrow, of course you do everything you can to get him. But who is that man?
You know what? I got a question for Roy and Gary here is, next season, right, because he's got Champions League this year. That was the main focal point. That was the most important thing. What would the expectations be next year? So if he does get the job, what would you consider, or even the fan base, what would the fan base consider to be a successful season?
You'd have to ask the board what the remit would be. Would they expect him to... I think obviously the board made such a poor decision with the last decision. They're probably frightened of making another big mistake.
Yeah.
So maybe Carrick is that safe pair of hands. But surely anyone who gets the job next year would be expecting to compete to win the league.
The journey that sort of Jurgen Klopp at Liverpool and Mikel Arteta at Arsenal, which whether they'll finish with the Premier League title, but they have progressed and looking like they're getting closer every year for a few years before they finally went and won it. It would need to be progression, wouldn't it, beyond what we're seeing now?
Was that the basis of that not a one-year contract, but this guy is our guy for 6 years and we're going to stick with him regardless of what
Look,
happens?
I'll be adamant, Manchester United won't go and do that 6-year thing. That would just be absolutely laughed at. I mean, that, you know, 2 years, 3 years maybe, because obviously that does seem like a commitment.
But what's the point? What Jamie's argument was that you don't go and find that sort of the world-class manager. You stick with this, which is safe and solid. Is that what Manchester United looking for? If you can't go and win the title.
But I mentioned the name like a couple of weeks ago, Nagelsmann, right? So I don't know anything about Nagelsmann from a point of view of doing due diligence on him to see whether he would be the right fit for Manchester United. But he's been at RB Leipzig, which is an incredible coaching ground. He's obviously done well at Bayern Munich. He's obviously won things. He's now managing Germany in a tournament. He's got a body of experience over 10 years that says this guy has worked in an elite environment. Now, if he becomes available after the World Cup, as an example, could he be the person? And what I do say about the Premier League title, and I think it is, to be fair, far-fetched that Manchester United will win it next season or the year after, but I do think at that point when Pep leaves, or at that point where they get maybe, if they were to be charged with some of the more serious offences and got some points deduction, it would be up for grabs properly in the next 12 to 18 months, the Premier League title. And at the moment, all I said on the podcast, which he laughed at, was that Liverpool aren't quite there right now. Chelsea aren't quite there right now. Newcastle aren't there right now. Tottenham aren't quite there. So Arsenal are. But if City were to obviously dip, who's going to step in and be that club that emerges out of that? Now, my view is you've got to appoint a manager that you think has the ability to exploit that moment. Now, I don't know if that's Michael Carrick or whether that's Nagelsmann or whether that's Pochettino or whether that's going to, you know, someone... But I'm not doing the due diligence. I'm not going around saying who's the best person to get it right. But that's what they have to be looking at. Who's there to go and exploit potentially this situation?